Hey there, everybody. This video is our review for the Blacklist Season 8, Episode 7, entitled Chemical Mary, which, as we said last week, I was excited about this episode just because the title alone sounded intimidating, which I'm all for.
And now we've met her, and she's very intimidating.
Just terrifying. Like, that scene where she's, like, in that weird red room behind the door being like, I want to speak to her. So, the thing with the pig is the first thing that, like, really set me off.
Yeah, I knew it would.
I do not like watching animals even be fake hurt on shows.
Nope, nobody likes it. I don't like it.
No, so that's like, I was like, okay, you've proven your point, Blacklist, with this lady. But, you know, the funny thing is that we'll talk a little bit about Chemical Mary here, but at the start of this video, we really want to dive into a lot of theory stuff because, you know, Jess has put together what I think is an I'm excited about this. I think she's got a very good theory on how some stuff is set up here.
Be easy on me, guys.
Well,
if it's not right, it's not right. I'll take the L.
We may all take the L at the end of this show. That's the whole thing. The end of this show may be Reddington waking up in bed, realizing that it is all a dream, and we will all throw our TVs out the window.
Yeah, or maybe you guys might think my theory will also make you want to throw your TV out the window.
Don't throw your TVs, your computers, your devices. Those cost money. Don't destroy anything. Just let's have fun. We're already having fun, but, you know, before we go further into this, if you guys enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel. We have Blacklist discussions here every single week. And also, if you do want to support us more, get a shirt kind of like this one. We have our store link in the description below. There's all sorts of other cool stuff there, mugs, phone cases, for the phone that you are not going to throw out the window.
All right, here we go, guys.
Okay.
Like I said, be easy on me with this theory. Because
let's do this.
I've tried to sort of flesh it out the best that I can. Okay, so in this episode, I've already felt like Reddington is N13, and for me it was already confirmed, but it feels like they're just confirming it and confirming it, like they're giving more and more and more. Okay, so my theory is we've got Reddington as N13, the man from the east is the guy, I'm going to say his name wrong, so you can say it wrong for me.
Sikorsky. I don't even know if that's right. I've never been able to say his name properly.
Yes, and I have thought after what Dom said before he died that both Katerina and Reddington have the archive. That tells me then that if that's Liz's parents, that Liz has the archive. So this is where I am with this now of what I think the big secret is of sort of who is Reddington and what is the purpose of all of this. Here we go. Okay, so I think that with Reddington being N13, so that he was N13 30 years ago, he was working for Russia, he was a spy for them, doing whatever, trying to gather all this intelligence. Because now we've sort of learned that there's this hacker that has been taking intelligence sort of on CIA and different sort of informants and stuff like that, and it is going into this bigger archive. Then now we've seen the man from the east give a little bit of that information to Red. He has sort of popped up out of the blue where Reddington was kind of like, I haven't seen you in like a really long time. So it feels like he is N13, but he hasn't really been operational in that capacity for a little while. I think he's a sort of double agent where he was a Russian agent. He's been funneling information back to them, but in this 30 years he has turned and now he is working for America. He is a patriot of America. He is a bigger picture guy. So what I think this task force is now is sort of a smaller way to control the flow of information for people that are higher up than Cooper. I think Cooper knows some stuff. I think above him knows more stuff. I think above him knows all the stuff. And that they were like, okay, we're going to put together this task force. We're going to bring in Reddington. He's going to bring in these blacklisters, which will be a small amount of information that we can funnel back to the Russian government so that they think he's still working for them, but really he's not. And Reddington, because he's talking to whoever the highest up that actually knows everything, that he's N13, that he has these obligations to the Russian government, but he's able to get information for America, and that Liz is the actual archive, that when they set up the team, he was like, well, I'm going to eventually smoke out who we need to smoke out for all of this. They are going to start coming for me. They're going to come for the task force, and I'm going to need access to the archive, who is Liz. So if I'm going to do this, Liz needs to be on this team. So that's what I actually think his original connection to Liz is that she is the archive. He needed access to her. She was brought into the team for this mission of getting blacklisters, but really it is an all around much bigger picture that he is doing this for the country. And that is why the secret can't be told to Liz or to anybody. We saw in this episode already, the man from the East is like, Cooper getting too close, Cooper gotta go. And Cooper hasn't even really done anything yet that they know about. They just know about the drive, and they know that it's out there, and they think maybe he's got it, but already it's like, oh no, Cooper's gotta go. That if it's that quick, then that's why Reddington has to keep this secret to himself of what he's actually doing. Because once it comes out, that'll be the end of everyone's going to be dead. And that's my theory. So I'd like to hear from you guys.
That was great. That was really good. And you know where the archive is? It's in her hand, everyone. It is in the scar.
And I'm not sure if it's in the scar, if it's been sort of put in her brain and then, hidden away, how he puts that information into her, if it's something that she physically owns. I just think she's the archive. He needs access to her. And over the years, it has grown into a love that he cares, loves Liz. He cares, loves the team. I know he said that if Cooper has to go, Cooper has to go, but I don't believe him.
The thing is also, they've shown Dr. Krylov before. He can manipulate memories. There, I said it properly. Yeah. So that, another option here. There are a couple of reasons why I really like this. Because number one, nobody wants to see Reddington. Nobody wants to see Reddington as a Russian agent. No,
nobody wants to see that. If that's the end of this, that he's all this time been working for the Russian government, like, get out of here with this show. Like, this is not where I want to go with it. That's why I think he's flipped and he is working for America, and that we're all sort of in this together with him.
Yeah, Reddington, he does bad things. Like, let's not sit here and pretend like he didn't pour Smokey out of an airplane or anything. But, at the same time, He's got a heart in there. I think he does want to follow a certain code. I think he does want to help America on some level. And another piece of evidence in all of this to me that there are higher-ups who at least know something is we were introduced today to a man who I will call Congressman Dude because I do not know what his name is. Congressman Dude seemed to know a little bit about...
You guys can let us know in the comments if we missed his name.
I watched that scene twice, and I still didn't hear his name. So you are now Congressman Dude. You can hang out with Dr. Horse on This Is Us. But You know what? Congressman Dude seemed to know a little bit about N13, but he knew about it in kind of like this weird paranoid, I think it's out there sort of way.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's sort of like he must have been given some information, but clearly there are higher-ups and higher-ups and higher-ups that know about N13, and I just think that if they could get their hands on him, that they would have found a way to be able to put him to use, which is what I think is going on. Because that conversation with the two of them where Congressman Dude is like, I think he's in the government somehow, he's working with FBI or he's working with CIA, and then they cut over to Cooper, who's just like, yep, I'm working with Red, that maybe it's all coming together.
Okay, I just came up with another part of this. You know who's ahead of Congressman Dude on the pecking order? It is Townsend himself, who is still out there, not as sucky as the Western Division that got owned earlier this season.
Yep.
But, okay, let's get a little bit into Reddington, which I am probably saying that really badly, too. This is not a good study in my pronunciation skills.
Hacker Dude,
who looks like Dwight from The Walking Dead. Okay, so we first saw...
Also, there were some of you guys who thought that he also kind of looked like Tom.
Okay, here's the crazy thing. I'm not trying to get down the Tom is still alive rabbit hole that we dove down a few episodes ago, but I kind of see it if you get rid of the hair and the beard.
I kind of see it, too. It's not him, but I mean, I see it.
So... Reddington you first saw in the car with Reddington back during the Elizabeth Keene episode, back when we were first starting to be introduced from the man from the East and all of that. And this episode, you've got Aram and Cooper who have sort of figured out that all of this information that's on the drive, it's got his signature on it. Like, whatever that means. We're going to, like, next level hacker stuff that I don't really understand fully here.
Yeah.
But ultimately...
But it sounds cool.
It sounds awesome. And Reddington is out to try to collect information from a number of different assets. And I think ultimately he's trying to expose stuff, which is why he needs Reddington's help, why the man from the East is trying to orchestrate all of this. And we saw a lot of that orchestration sort of go down at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
And it sounds as though Red, despite everything that's happened, he still doesn't want anything to happen to Liz.
No, and I mean, I get it, because he does feel like he doesn't want people to die, and he certainly doesn't want Liz to die, and I don't think he wants Cooper to die either. That's why at the end of the episode where he's like, sure, whatever you want, man, Cooper gotta go, all right, then we'll bounce him. But, like, I just don't think he will unless it's for the greater good of America. Then I do think that he will.
I think it's going to be tricky in this next episode. I mean, maybe we'll talk more about it in the preview, depending on what they show. But yeah, my heart tells me that he won't kill Cooper.
No, my hope is if this crazy theory ends up being true, and that's what this is actually all about. My hope is just that everyone will be brought into it. And now I understand the idea of my theory where it's like, yeah, no one's being brought into it because as soon as they are, they're all going to be killed off. Yes, yeah. I still think that can be true, but that's why I think that by bringing it out, this opens up like even more problems and bigger mysteries and stuff that can like sort of breathe new air into this show and make it go on for a couple more seasons with new, bigger, badder mysteries. By badder, I mean, like, yeah, badder. I don't mean like bad, like bad.
Badder.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this. All right. The other thing I do like about all this is that it kind of steers us a little bit away from the who is Reddington stuff, and it's kind of like a what is Reddington doing, which ultimately, like, it's kind of more important who he is now than, like, who he was many, many decades ago. I know Bokenkamp has said that many, many times already. Now, if they do the real Reddington is the friends we made along the way ending at this, I'm not going to be happy. I will be furious.
No, they have to have a really good reason for all of this. And I mean, him being a patriot of America and being like country first, maybe something that some people out there will be fine with. That's an explanation that makes sense. So if they go in that route, I mean, people may not be that happy, but at least it makes sense.
I'm going to pick up some of what you've been putting down here with the theory because I'm going to attach it to my own now that
awesome.
This is the real Reddington. So, okay, the real Reddington, while captured by Russia many, many, many moons ago, he gets turned.
Yep.
He becomes in 13. He
Yep.
becomes this asset.
Yep.
He does a little bit of work for them. But then over time, home is where the heart is.
Yep.
He is, seemingly, we don't know a lot about the real Reddington's past, but maybe he grew up in America. Maybe he spent some time in Russia. That's why he's friends with Ilya. Who really knows with all of that? But that question of why protect Liz, I mean, you explained it pretty clearly through the sense of if she's the archive, he really needs to try to protect her.
Yes, he does.
And, like, if it is his, if that is his child, then he's going to protect her for that as well. Though... They did do the whole thing in this episode where he's like, I'm not her father, so clearly.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is it can be taken in different types of contexts, right? I mean, like, the word father could be, I'm not the person who raised her. That sort of feeling of it, that maybe he's like, I'm her biological dad, but, I'm not her father. And, who knows, maybe that's where it's going. But it was interesting that he said that with just Dembe, because that's private conversation with the person he trusts the most. So at that point, I'm kind of like, okay, well, why would he be saying that if they both know that he is the biological father?
It does pour a little bit of cold water on it's the real Reddington theory that I've had all along, because it would be some really weird semantics if they're just trying to play around with us with that.
Yeah. It's hard whenever it's those private conversations with Dembe, because there's no reason for them to be sort of hiding anything because nobody else is listening to them.
let's talk now that we're 15 minutes into this just crazy escapade of fun that, okay, Chemical Mary, this, I was kind of in on this storyline, at least to a certain extent, but I'll give my big beef right now.
There we go.
How does Liz know who this person is?
Oh.
Like, we already went through this when it comes to, like, how did Liz know where Red put that drive that he, like, just got from the friend from the East? And now it's like, okay, how does Liz suddenly have information about all these, like, random yahoos that are out there doing, like, terrible stuff, and apparently nobody even knew where Chemical Mary was?
The only thing I can think of is that somebody in Red's network is actually funneling her information, but the only person that I would think that would have that much information might be Dembe, and I don't think he's funneling her anything. So this is where my beef is.
Yeah.
You need to bring Megan Boone back to the show. Like, Liz needs to be back in the show. This is getting sort of a little more unbelievable about what is happening on Liz's side of things, because we're not there to see her actually doing anything. So we're not understanding how it's all fitting together. How did she know about that flash drive? Just tell us. You don't need to give us this as a mystery. This is just becoming kind of like irritating because it's story that should be shared and needs to be shared.
2 minutes. Like, that's all they could have done to sort of show, oh, here's how Liz knows about this Chemical Mary person. You don't even have to tell us why she wants her, and I obviously have a ton of questions about that, but it would just be nice to know how she figured this out. Like, Liz is smart, but, you know, she's not, like, a human computer where she has files and information on all these people. I mean, maybe she has the archive in her hand, but outside of that.
Yeah, there has to be somebody giving her this information, and it would have to be somebody who's in on some of this stuff, like the Russian hacker, or, you know, I don't know. Like, it's getting real weird.
I will say this, like, as we all saw the Marvin Gerard skip plan like a million miles away, I did not see this coming like halfway through the episode, that it was, oh, she hired the freelancer in order to stage something that looked like an accident in order to secretly take Chemical Mary before she ever even got on. Just like, you hired this dude who could kill a lot of people, knowing the task force would probably find a way to save all the people.
No, hoping that they would.
Hoping.
So you put all these people at risk, and they all almost died.
Yes.
As a hope that maybe you could get away with this. It was just, when that all sort of was revealed, where it was like, yeah, but she gave us the information, so she's not all bad, and we were able to stop it in time. It's just like, okay, but, you know, you've also traumatized a bunch of people. You almost missed it. Like, she doesn't get a pat on the back for that. There are other ways to take this person. She wasn't that well insulated. If they were able to just grab her off the sidewalk and throw her in a van, why did you need these planes to almost crash to make that happen?
Listen, Liz has a lot of faith in the task force, clearly. You're totally right. This whole thing is just so...
I mean, obviously the plan was to make, I guess, it look like she was gonna die, but then you were also gonna have to make it that all these people died to hide that death.
Yeah, and also you still found a way to so seemingly take her that people would find out about it, so...
Yeah, at the airport, on the sidewalk, in the middle of the day. Like, it was... No.
It's not a foolproof plan by any means. It's still kind of terrifying that she's going through all this just to take Chemical Mary, which, as we know, Reddington is already sick. I'm not trying to be, you know, a negative Nancy here or anything about all this, but I don't know how much longer he really has, so to try to poison him at this point, it feels just like a little bit redundant.
Yeah, and also if it's like, you already have a murderer and the freelancer who could have already dealt with killing Reddington. Why do you need to trade him in to get this person instead? Like, it's just kind of like half one dozen other kind of deal. Like, what difference does it make what murderer does the murdering for you?
I had a lot of questions about a lot of this. I did find most of it to be fairly entertaining. Like, I will give them that. But yeah, there were a couple of like moments. I will say this. I'm a big fan of Aram in this episode. I think Aram had two really wonderful moments. Mm-hmm. Let Aram go to Paris. Like,
okay.
Aram's like just
Aram is busy doing something a little bit bigger than Paris. You know, you can have a coffee here.
He wanted that croissant. He wanted to be on the cafe.
Yeah, they exist here.
Well, okay, Aram also... I loved his little jealous spiel, too, when I was talking about the NSA dude. And he was like, that guy's not any better than me.
That was great.
This was like... Aram was in a mood in this episode, and yeah. I felt you, Aram. Okay, well, I guess we have to talk briefly about Park here, because they actually did... they continued it, technically, where that dude who I thought was dead is not dead, and it turns out that she has to ask Reddington for help.
Yeah, so I mean, now she owes Red a favor, which is kind of where I think we all thought it was. Yeah. I mean, he was all tied up in the corner and bloody and looked like he was either dead or half dead, and that Reddington was going to clean it up, and so obviously he did. So now there's that, I guess, but that still doesn't give me the Park story that I'm looking for, which is I would actually like to get to know her as a character and not really sort of this stuff.
Here's where I think all this is going. I think Reddington's going to realize something is up with Cooper, and then he's going to ask Park, I need to know what Cooper has. And I think that's going to lead to everything kind of getting tipped off to Reddington. But
so do you think that Reddington is going to kill Cooper?
I do not. I think that he may look like he's trying at one point. I think he'll try to prolong this as long as he possibly can, because I don't think he wants to tip his hand. But I will be so sad if he kills Cooper. I love Cooper. If you take Cooper, don't take Cooper from me.
I think Cooper is the biggest adversary that Reddington has. I think you can't take Cooper out of this show because he really feels like the one person that can go toe-to-toe with Reddington.
And he's known Reddington in some shape or form. I mean, I don't know if it's this Reddington, but he's known a Reddington for decades, since Kuwait. Like, if you take him out before the end, nobody gonna be happy about that. Like, let's just be clear.
Yeah, I don't know if he, like I said, I don't know if he actually will. I think he will do everything that he can not to, but if it's going to come between sort of my theory that he is country first, then, if he's got to go, he's got to go.
Well, we maybe end up talking more about this in the preview. We'll see what's in that promo. I do know we'll be talking about the return of Anne the Birdwatcher.
We will, but we are also going to talk about promo department. I know you're listening. Stop putting Liz in the promos when she's not in the episode. I mean, we already figured from that last promo, it was like, don't just think that she's going to be in it, because who knows? She has been in 3 episodes now. Don't bother to tease that anymore. We're all on to it.
Guys, come on. All right, well, what did you guys think about The Blacklist, Season 8, Episode 7? What do you think about the theories we've talked through here? Let us know. And, kindness. Also, if you guys like this video, subscribe.
I'm trying, guys.
Give us a like. Support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.